How you feeling?
Fine. I'm totally trusting you. I've seen you on pit exit.
There's the concern. Um, so first things first, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us how you got into marshalling and what you do.
Nigel Kendall, I've been marshalling now, I think it's my third season. So I got into it as much as anything that my other half had done marshalling in the past, had dragged me to some race meetings, pointed at the people in orange and said, "You will enjoy that. Go to a taste today." So went to a taste today, sort of enjoyed it, although on the taste today I wasn't too impressed with incident because I wasn't allowed to do anything, but flagging was fine. So came back afterwards, mainly did flags to start with. Fifth meeting, I ended up running a post. I don't know why. I was the least experienced person on the post. Then sort of picked up the incidents things, did the training, and then went to race grade one. And then once I got my race grade one, decided that I would quite like to play and get the off tracks as well, especially the other half's a pit marshal. So come in, you'll really enjoy the pits. So I went into the pits and really enjoyed the pits. So it's a bit more busy. There's extra things to do. So I'm now, trying to get some meetings up on the pits. I've got some assembly. I'm off on the tours when they're back at Donington. So I need
That's
to
a
get
good
some.
one to do it for.
Yeah, well, I need some assembly, and it's there, so we'll get some assembly done. I did try and do some assembly at Thruxton a couple of years ago, but they were full in assembly, so got thrown out into the paddock.
I find I struggle getting on assembly days because
Mm.
they're quite full. And
Yes,
then often, especially at Donington, we can be a little bit lower in the pit lane. So they like you to
yes.
top up the pit lane a little bit.
Yes, it can be difficult that. Although if you want to be slightly less, you can go to Mallory Park and you can basically. I'd done one meeting on pits at Donington, went to Mallory Park and got the thing of, "Would you like to be Chief Pits?" No,
What?
it's about the only time I've turned around and said no. No, you see that other bloke that's on assembly? He's just been through his off track grading. Why don't you have him as Chief Pits and I'll learn off him? Having said that, the next time I went to Mallory, I was Chief Pits.
You didn't
He
get
was
out of it
chief.
that easily.
No, he was chief flag and chief start line, and then we just had a chief assembly. So it wasn't a huge team down there. Although pits at Mallory is a lot less than pits at Donington. So
Is it? What's it
yeah,
like?
it's we your start line's a little bit more separate, and you've not really got pit stops down there. Anybody in pits is coming in because they got a problem, so you're not really on routine pits. So predominantly, I was chief pits, which meant I was doing pit exit all day basically.
Oh,
So
that is a
which
bit rough.
which is fun because pit exit at Mallory, you are very close to the action. I had to report a contact that happened about 2 feet away from me.
Oh, what collided?
Yes, there was a lot of Fiestas that meeting. Fiestas seemed to like colliding with each other, and
Mm.
Wolves. One Fiesta decided to crash and throw gravel over race control and most of the track, which was quite interesting because it wasn't the most well stocked with Marshall. So I'd gone up from pit exit. This was up by start line. Gone up with and started brushing. Had done 20 meters, and then they decided they would ship in people off every post with a brush.
Oh my gosh.
Literally, course car and safety car were going around collecting marshals to bring them to the start line to brush.
Oh my gosh. That's
So,
insane. I can't even imagine that.
so meanwhile, the barrier had to be rebuilt as well. So,
Of
yeah,
course.
yeah, that's fun. Yes. So we stopped for lunch to give the barrier time to rebuild.
Oh, that's nice. You at least got a lunch break then.
You have to get an hour lunch break at Mallory. You have to be finished by a certain time. So knowing your sort of track regs are quite good. Okay, Donington, we could well be there till gone 7. You're never going
Mm.
to be at Mallory gone half 5, 6 o'clock at the latest.
I
Unless, of
find that so
course, you go and
confusing.
sit in the bar after racing.
Of course.
So,
What else would you do?
yeah, yeah. Especially
Yeah.
when they said, "Oh, you're short. You've done really well today. We'll put some drinks behind the bar." Oh, fair enough.
What?
Yeah.
That's so
So,
nice. I need to come marshal at Mallory.
you definitely do. I'm about to say, can share a pit exit with somebody.
I mean, currently, what was it? 2 crashes last time I was on?
um,
2 crashes nearby.
there's one that went past you that lost its rear wing on the straight and then found that you need a rear wing to brake on the corner.
Yeah, that was dramatic to watch. I just
That
saw the rear wing fly off and went, ah. and then loads of like
Yes, I
smoke and went,
was. Yeah,
oh.
I was at the top of the pit lane for that and just turned around and thought, oh, that shouldn't be going there. Yes, I must admit, the time I have pushed most cars was when I was on pit exit at Mallory, because every time we had to recover something on post one, and there was a lot of cars pulled off on post one, you think when you're in the pits you get away from pushing cars, but you seem to
No.
just have to push them further,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
and sometimes uphill at Donington when you're pushing them back in the wrong way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
so
especially when they're stuck on the grass. So, tell me a little bit about, because you're doing a lot of the grading stuff, aren't you?
yep,
So,
I
tell me
well,
how that came to be.
I said I did my race one grading. I was doing
Yeah.
that. There was nobody in the grading officer position. I then sort of was trying to grade. Who do I talk to? What do I talk to? I've got this. Oh, no, I don't do it anymore. Yeah, I was doing that. It's like,
Yeah.
okay. It's really quite frustrating. Ended up going straight to National, going, look, I've got this. What more do I need to do to grade? Okay, I've submitted that. That's fine. A few weeks later, got my grading. So it's
Hey.
like, okay, it's not actually too hard. We managed to do that one without sending anything in online. And I knew there was some other, coming up. So, well, there's a grading thing. Look, I'll volunteer to this grading one because I've just been through it. It needs somebody just to help be there to answer the questions. It's not necessarily the most time consuming job. It's so immediately accepted, co-opted onto the committee, and then so you're a committee role, so you get some of the inner workings a little bit more, which is very
Yeah.
interesting, and get the grading. So now we've got that sorted. One of my big claims to fame on that is I've never posted anything off. We've gone completely electronic on that, which is great.
Seriously.
So people are sending in pictures or scans of all the documents, and then I will check them and then send off the pictures or scans or the documents, which go down to National BMMC, which do the club sign off, and then they send them on to MSUK and do it. I had one the other day where I think we had an upgrade through within 2 days.
Seriously.
Yep.
That's
So we had
insane.
so it came to me, I was available, looked at it quite quickly, sent it to National, they must have been available, sent it off quite quickly, and literally within a day, 2 days, I had the Marshal coming back to me and going, I've just been notified I've got my upgrade. One of the slightly annoying things is MSUK do not tell us as the sporting club that they've upgraded who we've
What?
submitted. We have to then request that who we've upgraded comes back to us and send us a picture of their new card, because
Oh.
that's sometimes the first time you hear is a new card comes through the post.
Serious. That's
Yeah.
so unhelpful. I mean, to be fair, I remember doing mine, but mine was on the border of the whole grading system changing.
Yeah.
So I've got no idea how typical an experience mine was. But I feel like the systems should feed into each other. Motorsport UK and BMMC should kind of talk so you know who's what.
I'm not too worried about it. I've sort of come in. I only came in when it was just new system, so I was just out of the old. So I didn't, that's probably quite good. I didn't have any prior expectations. Yeah, there was just a few people talking about what they'd been grandfathered in to do, and the old system different. My own experience has been the new system, which sort of makes sense. They've just recently done not quite an upgrade, but a clarification on a few points, particularly around the grade 2, where if you want to do both your flag and incident at the same time, because that was a little bit, can't you? And that's been just clarified that you can. And some of the speed stuff, where you used to have to do 2 assessments, but there's not very many speed assessors, whereas you only now have to do 1 assessment on your speed grades.
Oh, that's good.
So, yeah, we all talk about these roles, and I've been there at days where it's been short, where you describe your role as Marshal because you do everything from lights, flagging, incident recovery, sweeping the track, because you're a little bit tight on Marshals. That was one of those, was a Friday that we did, and for some reason they had the long format of the track, so it was
That
really
is tough when you've not got many marshals.
Yeah, there's one of the things when you've not got many, you've got the opportunity. I'd much rather be at a meeting that's tight on marshals than some of the really big meetings that there's 20 people on every post. I had one of the tours where I did incident, and there was an incident, and you queue up as marshals and wait for the post chief or incident marshal to call you out or send you out to deal with it. It's like next in the queue, oh, we've got a mini to push, we got 3, we could do with 4, away you go. Oh, I can go out and push a mini. So and then you're held in, because there's nothing worse than too many people who will get in the way.
Oh yeah.
So it's controlling that, yeah. But yeah, when you've got that, okay, there's something up there. I've got to deal with that. It's when your previous post isn't staffed, and you're looking out going, I've got a pull off up there. So what we've got to do is wave from a distance, make sure the driver's in behind the barrier safe, and then at the end go up and recover. You learn things. You do that. Oh, what could I have done better? Where am I doing it? Where can I apply this? So yeah.
It's all a learning experience, especially I mean, because we're both quite early on compared to a lot of people that we marshal with.
Yeah.
It is all a learning experience.
Yes. Yeah, I mentioned doing the speed earlier. I was just moving on to doing that. So I tried to sign up for the trucks, and they came back. So no, we're completely full. So it's I'm available. Okay. And then there was a sprint meeting at Kerborough, and they were desperately screaming out for marshals because of course the trucks were on. It's like, okay, I'll do that. And then I'm free the week before, and they've got one the week before. I go the week before and get an idea of what's going on before the week when they're short. Started that. It's really good. It's you're manning a post. You've only got one flag, so it's a bit easier because all you're dealing with is a red flag because you've only ever got one car on track at once.
Yeah, that's going to be quite nice.
Yeah, and would have had probably the biggest incident that I've been sort of, first on team or one of the first on team was on one of those sprints.
Really?
So we had a car, took the start, came down, decided to not take the first bend and go nose first straight into the wall. So it's a single-seater, so it probably got up to 80, straight into the wall, tyre wall there. So it's like, okay, we then had, driver was getting out but was told to sit in there because it was quite a big impact to wait for recovery. Recovery came up, recovered driver, aluminium monocoque nose. The nose had bent down. We were recovering it backwards. When it came out of tyre, we basically were ploughing. So we'd created a plough out of a single-seater car. So that, to be honest, was the fault of one of the stewards because we were 10 minutes before lunchtime and one of the stewards walked up and said, mentioned the Q word. Oh, it's really quiet. We'll be off to lunch on time.
Oh, no. You can't do that.
No, that car went straight in the wall. The very next car spun off at one of the other points and then had to be recovered. And then we had somebody in the crowd fell over and broke their hip. So that was 3 things then before lunch. So
it always comes in threes, doesn't it?
I know, and not a pork pie anywhere either.
Oh my gosh, at all?
No. I'd had that actually talking to that tourer meeting that I did at Brands. I was on there with one, and that mini that came off, literally just before that, the Marshal was on post with a pork pie.
Oh, no.
No.
I feel like we should explain that for listeners. So a pork pie on post is bad luck.
Yeah, there's a few things that generally are bad luck. There's 1 or 2 photographers who've got a reputation as well.
Yes. So apparently there's one that everyone tells to go away.
So there's a few things. The Q word, of course, is the other. You
can't say that it's looking quiet.
Yeah.
Or anything like that, because then you are going to get a whole heap of trouble.
Yep, and no other marshal has sympathy if you've had pork pie or used Q word.
No, it's on you. No. Everyone's going to be upset with you, and it is on you.
Especially if it's last race.
Yes. Do not do it on the last race. That's just cruel.
No, I was working under Chief Pitt's instructions, who said, "Oh well, that's right. That should be the last start. You can start putting the flags away."
No.
So then we had a red flag, and we had to run out with the flags very quickly to go and do a regrid. So.
Oh no. That's the thing. You never put I am a firm believer in you don't put the flags away until after that 75% mark of that last race. At that point, you're good. They're 70% of the way through.
This is in the pits. On post, you keep your flags until the race finishes.
Yeah. We should probably clarify that. So one of the main things I wanted from this, if we could maybe do a quick rundown of how people upgrade and how marshalling upgrades work.
Yep. So first you need to almost slightly decide what role you're in. A lot of people will end up just doing incident. So you're doing instant fine, but to upgrade, we'll start on the race ones. Upgrades to race 1, you also have to do at least 5 of your 15 must be on flag, because then you've got an appreciation of what the flag marshals are doing to cover the incident marshals, and then vice versa. If you go in race 1, you can be slightly more flag. You have to go and do your incident. So you need a bit of both. And similar with other disciplines, I myself working for looking at my speed one now. Most of mine have been on post, on the actual post. So similar to instant, but you have to do off-track stuff, which is start line and paddock. And paddock's more similar to assembly. The way we're going to know, the only way we know is from your event record. So it's very important you do your event record. Try and do it at the events you're on, keep it up to date. You can
Yeah.
be signed off by somebody at the same grade in that discipline or a higher grade on that. So same grade or above, which usually is somebody in the, so either taking the post chief role or in the incident officer role, but it is sometimes just worth double checking their grade. They should be looking at what you're at and shouldn't be able to sign off. Yeah, I've been on posts where I've had people a higher grade on me and you're just going, sorry, I can't sign you off on that thing. You'll need to pop and see the chief marshal. That said, I've
Yeah.
been on sort of posts where I've been the highest person on post, and it's quite a nice little trip at the end of the race to go and see the chief marshal, have a chat,
Yeah.
get them to sign you off on stuff, so it can be quite good. Some people worry about what's said in the comments. They sort of provide context from the grading point. I look at the comments and go, oh yeah, quite a good day, there's stuff there. Oh yeah, it looks like, it gives a bit more character to the log, but to a certain extent we're looking for the events. They can go without them, but you're a little bit more okay, particularly where you get a block signed off by the same person. Always
Yeah.
just a little bit there. So, okay, you might be on post with the same person all the time. So my
Really?
3 meetings were all with the same post use. Yeah, it's great. So it's really good
Ah.
because you actually built up a bit of rapport and learnt with them. So it's really quite good.
So you have different grade levels. You always start off as a
Yeah.
registered marshal, no matter what the discipline, I believe.
Yep. Well, that's
And then,
basically your standard MSUK online course brings you in as a
yep,
registered marshal. Yep.
yep. Then once you've got your days, your signatures, and you have to do a certain amount of training as well. What
Yep.
kind of training do we have to go through? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the training usually most venues will run a training day, which will cover. There's a load of modules now. You have to tick off the modules. Now, not all of the training days cover all of the modules, but usually the modules that aren't covered are ones that are available online through the MSUK Learning Hub. So they can be covered on that. So when I did it, I end up going, I'll do every single module. I don't know which ones I need. I did almost all the online Learning Hub ones to make sure I was covered. I've done this online, and there's quite a bit of crossover. The other thing
Oh,
I'm doing with grading is whenever we got the training, I'm getting a record from the person leading the training, particularly like at Donington, where a lot of, it's a local training. So if it's just that training signed off, I know what modules are covered and therefore
yeah.
what else is needed. Yeah, and equally I've went off because I was short training, and most of the training tends to be in between the season. I end up doing a VSCC incident training once, which was down in a scout hut. We're there, and we had a sort of a little car without an engine that we could use to set up incidents. And because that was just general incident marshal, not track or anything, we were covering rally radio work and things. It was really quite interesting to get, and gave a different experience of the training. No, yeah, there's no worries where you train, but just need to get yourself some training.
Yeah, so long as you've done those modules that you need to do, it
Yep,
doesn't
that you
matter
need to do
where.
for that. And to be honest, as it's the race grade one tends to be the one where you may have to do some online gradings. Once you get to the higher grades, there's less modules you need to do, to be honest, and they are usually covered fully in the relevant training. And even like the race grade one and the off track grade one are basically the same training. I've done that now twice. The first time I had to rescue your other half from a car because
Yeah,
he's a very bad driver and had crashed it.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
I still have the pictures from that.
yes. Yeah. It's and then he was very close to a wall, which I think was
Yes,
3 chairs lined right beside him.
yes,
Yes,
I
yes,
believe so. Yeah,
yes. So that
yeah.
said, there are some real cars because I was, being on the committee and things, I was available on a Saturday morning, but only the morning, not the afternoon. So I turned up to give my little talk on grading, there. And then it was like, well, I've done my little talk. Oh, what are you rest of doing? There was a load of people stripping out cars, ready to do the fire practical.
Oh,
So I did spend a morning on lots of scrap cars, stripping out all the interior flammables so that we could set them on fire and not have them too flammable.
always nice.
Which is great because one of the cars had a teaspoon in it, and you're always short of teaspoons.
Oh my gosh! I was gonna say, is that now in the kitchen?
Yes, it is, to be honest. Yeah, gave it a good wash. It's now in the kitchen, so yeah,
Oh,
it's there. So yeah.
love it. So once you've done those modules and you are fully fledged up to grade one, I believe, is there still a certain amount of time you have to wait before you can do your next grade?
There is a minimum time. It's stated clearly in the pathways, your time minimums. I can't remember off the top of my head because I was going to open the
It's okay.
pathways in front of me and I haven't. But there's
That's
pathways
okay.
there. Yep. So they can pull up. we'll generally talk about them in training. They're fairly easy to find. And if you're not sure on any training requirements, I'm Midlands region, so it's M for Midlands dot grading, because you're looking at grading at marshals.co.uk. Drop an email to that. I can advise you what you need. So we've done our events, we've done our training.
Yep.
So the only other thing you need to do on track is an assessment. So the assessments are organised by your Chief Marshal. So if you think you're ready at that stage, declare it to your Chief Marshal. Have you got an assessor available? Can I do an assessment? Bang, and then they'll be put on post. Quite often you get put on a busy post so that something's going to happen, because certainly on incident, they can't assess you unless you have to do some incident work. On mine, luckily, somewhere in the day, we had a car that had dumped loads of oil. So I spent most of my incident assessment was done dressing oil.
Nice.
That
That's
said,
thrilling,
yeah,
isn't it?
yeah. Well, it's a technique to learn. It's a technique
It
to learn.
is.
We
You know
had
what? It's taken
on
me some
the
time.
one of the sprint ones where we weren't exactly flush with marshals. On there, we had a car that sort of about quarter of the way through the course distance decided to start dropping oil. It started dropping. I think it spun on its own oil, to be honest. Then decided to drive the rest of the circuit, dropping oil everywhere. Got back to
Oh,
start line and burst into flames because it was overheated because it had no oil.
of
So
course.
start line then had a fire to deal with. The rest of us then had a track full of oil, and it's just amazing. I must have dressed over 500 meter of oil myself on that one.
Mm.
But it's
Say,
amazing how quick you can go. That one was the dressing was no, that was a plaster dressing. And if you've got a shovel and you have your shovel with your plaster on it, nice long handle, you can just control your dressing going down,
oh,
and you can go at hell of a rate up with that.
you can just run with that shovel, and that is a
Well, you can
technique that
just
I'm still
about
trying to
just
perfect.
yeah. Yeah, I've got that. One of the times I did it, I think it might have been on my assessment. There was a slight hole in the shovel just back from the thing. That worked brilliantly. All shovels should have holes in them.
Just distributed it
Yeah.
properly.
And that's one of the reasons when you're on post, why you'll find a lot of the shovels start to wear down, because they basically go miles on the tarmac.
Yeah, you literally just
So,
put them on the tarmac at an
yeah,
angle and
yeah,
walk along the line of
yeah.
oil with it. And then
That's
someone
if
goes
you've
behind you
got, yeah,
brushing.
if you're on a plaster or cement type dressing. Mallory uses coconut husk. Now, that's really
What?
light and will blow anywhere. So the
Okay.
trick with that is probably to put a pile and just push it along with a brush.
Oh,
So
that makes sense.
there are sort of differences between it. So put a little pile, push that with a brush on the thing. Try and keep the wind away, because otherwise all your coconut husk blows away. Um,
Hey. So I feel like that's something you do need to get good at. So
yeah.
where were we? We got
We
where we were.
were we were taking our assessments.
Yes, we were taking our
See
assessments.
your chief marshal get that. You for race one, you'll need assessment in flag and incident. So that'll be two separate days. Usually they try and do it in one weekend. Usually they'll chuck you on incident on the Saturday, so that if you incident fail, so you don't get an incident on Saturday, you can do it again on the Sunday to get your incidents, active incidents. So it may take more than 2 days to get your 2 days assessment. To a
Yeah.
certain extent, a lot of assessments occur on Old Hairpin at Donington,
Mm.
because that's almost guaranteed to get something.
I suppose that's like the biggest difference with off track. I had to do, I think it was 15 days in the pit lane and 5 days in assembly because
I
I
think
am,
it'll be 10 in the pit lane and 5 in assembly. It's 15 total, 5 of
that
which
was
will
it.
be assembly
Because I'm
or
going for my
or
grade
pits.
two.
Yeah. Grade two will be a bit higher. I think it's either 20 or
Yeah.
25 off the top of my head, but
So you've got to do a similar split of days in pit lane and assembly.
yeah.
But because you are so often active in the pit lane, it's easier to get your assessment in.
Yeah.
It's still difficult from a point of view of getting an assessor that's free, but from the point of view of having something to do, there is always going to be something to do in pit lane and start
Yeah.
line and assembly.
Because you're not being judged on needing an instant. You're
Yeah.
judged. You're being assessed on your organisation. Do you know how to grid a car? Do you know how to safely get off the grid? Do you know what you check for in assembly? When you get your assessments, your assessor will probably look through your events and go, no, sorry, you've not got events. I'm not going to assess you. So they do tend to have a little screen there at the assessor level. So they will look through events. They will look through your training. If they were not happy with that, they won't assess you.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two checks on this. So your assessors will tend to look at that, then I will look at that. So the things I need then sent to me, you'll have your record of your assessment, which may or may not be in a book or on a form. There's various ways these come through. Your events log. Okay, if I'm really confused by them, I'll come back to you and then go, what's this? What's this? I can't read this. Can you take that a bit better? Oh, your training report. So it doesn't matter if you've got more than one, send more than one, we'll send them on, it looks there. And then also we need a picture or scan of your current MSUK Marshal card. That's your orange card with your picture on. If you're like going for your race grade up one, it's likely to just say registered Marshal. Yeah, you'll be going, if you're going through off track 2, you've probably got an off track 1 on your card at the moment. And then strangely, you need to send a form in, and that form isn't called your upgrade form. No, that's your registration stroke renewal form. So you do the registration and renewal form, and you just pick the higher grade on that.
It doesn't seem right.
No, it's confusing, slightly confusing that. And then on the back of that, it says club signature. Don't do anything on that. That's what we organise in the process. I've had people fill that in, get people to fill that in. No, don't want that done. That's what we send it off to BMMC National to do the club signature. So we recommend to National and BMMC National, sign it off, send it off to MSUK. Higher levels, once we get to grade 3, so the IOs, post chiefs, we need to get committee approval locally and send it through. And then when they go to MSUK and I think the grade 2s, there's a list that's circulated around all the clubs, just going, so-and-so's going for the level 2 or whatever, just in case anybody's got a problem. So it's almost like, okay, are all these okay? Anybody got an issue of any of these you want to raise? And the list of names and grades are put around and then approved. And then, of course, at the top end, there's, assessor grade, which we could do a few more, particularly in speed. That's the people who are then going to assess. And there's, again, more things about it. And to a certain extent, it's a tick box and a qualification. There will be people who are at low grades who are really experienced. And there will be people at high grades that have probably rushed through a bit, not necessarily got the experience or not picked things up. So you'll find on a lot of events, it's by not people's reputation, but the fact you've worked them before, you know how they work. Right, I know what you do, so I can use you in that role. I imagine, your pit chiefs and post chiefs are really sort of looking at that going, I know I can trust you. I know you know how to do the job. Okay, we got a newbie here. Can you take them out and show them? So it's that selection on the basis of, not absolutely just your grade.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's not that you don't trust the grade. You know that they've got that grade, that they've earned that grade.
Yeah.
But knowing somebody and knowing what they're capable of, especially in such stressful situations we can have, is a whole other level of this. This is what we need. We know that person can do it.
Yeah.
That's what we need them to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen that person have a fire straight in front of them, put it out. I know how they react. Whereas you don't know how you're going to react till you have it. I've still not been first on the scene on a fire and had to be the, sort of primary extinguisher. I've been second on the scene and come down with a foam and tried to cover. But meanwhile, the powder that the first on the scene had put on had taken the fire out. So all I did was sat there ready to pull the pin, going, okay, if we get flare up, I'm here, but no, it's down, it's out. We don't need to put an extinguisher on there when we don't need it.
Because it just wastes the extinguisher. And if you use any of the extinguisher, that then can't be used again, even if it's only like one squirt. So I have been first on scene for a fire, but it was such a tiny fire that obviously I don't want people to set on fire in front of me. No. But I feel like I need more experience before I can necessarily go for my upgrade, especially with being first on scene for incidents and things like fires. I want to know that I have that capability before I have that grade to show it. Yeah.
Is having that confidence in yourself. How do I react in this situation? I haven't had this situation. I've done bits where I've been on post and you reflect on what you do. And I've gone, oh, that's gone. Oh, right, I'm here. I best radio this in. Oh, hang on, I'm doing flags as well. I should really, first thing should be flag out, then radio it in. It's going, well, I got a bit too carried away and went for the radio in and didn't get my flag out.
Yeah.
And equally, there's there's the bit you're generally told on pit exit never to leave pit exit, and equally there's been a fire pulled into pit exit. They are there right on scene. The next nearest marshal in the pit lane is halfway up the pit lane.
Yeah.
Well, and seeing them coming in, to be honest, the next nearest marshals were pegging it down the pit lane.
Yeah.
But
Oh,
then
yeah.
it's a recognition. It's like, okay, I think I was then next one down on the pit lane on that. So the one on pit exit had dealt with the fire. I came down covered. The next one behind me went, well, that's both extinguishers out there. There's no point me just running down there. They popped by pit office, picked up another extinguisher or another pair of extinguishers to bring down another set of extinguishers.
That is so
that's sort of
smart.
thinking on the thing. Yeah.
So, do you want to talk a little bit about the new mentoring thing you mentioned that you're starting?
Yeah, it's not quite out yet. We're just at the moment about to recruit mentors, but what we're looking to do is to have a little bit in the sort of BMMC Midlands, have a little bit more formalised support. At the moment, you have the people on the taste today, you're talking to that, but it's to have some people to talk to, some people at various different levels. We're looking at having people with various backgrounds so that you can find somebody that you connect with. There'll be a short marshalling biography, what you're doing, where you go, why you went into marshalling, just a few lines, and then it will be sent out to anybody joining BMMC. We'll probably follow up with an email or text or call onto that, going, here we are, mentor team, anybody particularly you want to have a chat with on the mentor team and be there as a port call. Here we go. Yeah, the sort of questions. I'm I volunteered, I'm doing all weekend. What's the situation with camping?
Yeah.
Those sort of questions. Tips and tricks and things. Oh, if you get the dress oil, take a long shovel. Don't go with a little blinking fire shovels. You do your back in going a long way with those.
I suppose it's there for all those things that when you first start out, you don't know, but everybody knows, and nobody really tells you that you don't know.
Because you don't know anybody, and they don't know you don't know. When you first turn up, you're probably in a tabard and normal clothes because it takes a while to get pro bands. But equally, then there is the fact that you will have your bright orange pro bands, which almost immediately assigns you as a newbie. Although that said, there will be people replacing pro bands for various reasons. But as a marshal, if you see somebody in bright orange, whether you know they're grade 3, been doing this for 20 years or whatever, you still accuse them of being a newbie. It just has
100%.
to be done, doesn't it? Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah, Chief Pitts might be in bright orange. Oh, God, a newbie.
What are we going to do with you?
Yeah. The idea of this was we're going to try and get some more of the membership involved. Here we go. There's a little role you can do. It's just there. And we can get a more diverse team of mentors. And then the other thing we might do to try and help newbies, because it's a long time you start. And we mentioned most of the training being end of the season or between seasons.
Yeah, a lot of trainings in January.
Yeah, a lot of trainings in January. I did that one, the VSCC one, which was about July or August, which was lovely. And it really helped me doing that in an early season just to settle down. Just a little mini training, just some obvious first facts. So we're actually considering doing a newbie training evening or a newbie training thing at some stage. So that's something else we're considering doing just to get that training started, just as much as anything for martial confidence, because a little bit of training doesn't half help a lot with your confidence and what you're doing.
I mean, it is a long time from doing your training day in, say, January to then the start of the season in like March, April time. You have especially if you've not done it before, it's easy for those of us that have done it for a few years to say, oh yeah, of course this is what you do. But if that's your first training day and then you're going into your first season, you can forget everything you learned. Yeah. It's so confusing. It's a long time to remember something that you've never had to practice.
Yeah.
One of the last things I wanted to ask, what kind of advice would you give to people just starting out in marshalling?
Oh, talk to people. You're likely, if you're just starting out, you're likely to be put with somebody onto roles. Get what you can from. Ask them. If you're not sure on something, recheck. Really use them as the mine of information.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning. You will still forget to do things. So, just remind each other. You're a team. You're a team that banter with each other, because otherwise you wouldn't get through the entire day.
On that note, thank you very much for being interviewed for my podcast. I'm very, very grateful for you coming on and talking all of the technical martially stuff that everybody gets confused all of the time.
If you want clarification, m.grading@marshals.co.uk.